Hello, welcome to Russ Sound. I want to thank you for joining us today. You picked a good day because today we're going to talk about amplifiers and speakers. These are my favorite things to talk about. I really enjoy laying out amplifiers and speakers for expansion systems, large jobs, things like that. That's the meat of the system. That's what you're listening to, really. Your controllers, your amplifiers, your receivers, whatever you got. They can only do so much, but the speakers are what you're listening to. So the kind of power, clean power, makes a big difference. I could talk about this stuff all day, but good thing we got a PowerPoint to keep me in check here. You can do unlimited configurations with these guys. These amplifiers we're going to talk about today, very highly configurable. They all have a line output on them. You can go into one, out of that one, into another one, out of that one, into another one. It's endless. It's endless. You can build a system as large as you can imagine. All of these amplifiers, very, very beefy thermal protection, very beefy toroidal power supplies. These big honking around power supplies supply more than enough power that you'll ever need. So we got a lot to talk about today. If you got any questions, please go ahead and type these questions in the chat box. We have the one and only Ben Hardy on board with us today, riding shotgun. He's a technical support specialist, and he's here to answer your questions in real time. So go ahead and fire those questions at him. He'll keep up with you best he can. And if for any reason we run out of webinar before questions, we'll leave it open for a few minutes so that all you can get your questions in here. So thank you for joining us. A really good crowd today again. Thank you for that. Welcome to Russ Sound. Power amplifiers, they're the muscle behind every system out there, every system. And we put great pride and effort into building these amplifiers. They're absolutely bulletproof. As I mentioned, very hardy, very, very beefy thermal supply protection on these guys, and years of reliability and absolutely outstanding sound quality. These guys are the best in the business. Our engineers designed these guys for seamless integration, and they did a great job with that because there aren't too many things you can't do. And bulletproof reliability, that's the thing. You don't want to have to be digging amplifiers out of the rack because then the system's down. So years and years of use and abuse, don't worry about it. Bang away. And astonishing fidelity. These amplifiers sound very sweet, very smooth, very powerful. Great high end, real clean low end. These things are awesome. We're only going to talk about three of these guys today. The A2100, 100 aside, little half rack guy. Don't let that fool you. It does everything the big guys do. The D850, it's a monster. You have four 50-watt per channel amplifiers in one box. The D1650, this is the beast of the line. It's double that D850. You have 8 zones, that 50 watts per channel. This is the most versatile amplifier in the business. This is our best seller. Very, very popular out there with integrators. They pop it in systems whether it's Russ Sound or not, because they know sound quality and reliability is second to nothing. The A2100, this is a beautiful little amplifier. 100 watts by 2, that 8 ohms. You got a whopping 125 a channel. That 4 ohms, and don't worry about that, it's 4 ohms stable all day. And 225 watts bridged at 8 ohms. You could use this amplifier to drive a subwoofer, any size, any power requirement. And as I mentioned, thermal protection, short circuit protection. This guy is perfect for zone 7 and 8 on a MCA 88 system. It's a half rack. You can mount 2 of them side by side in a single rack space. So that could be your zone 7 and zone 8 right there. All of the rack mounting is available. If you only use one, there's a full cover plate for the other half of the rack. And if you use 2, you got rack ears on both sides. So very nicely done. On the front panel, all you have is a power button. You can manually just switch that power on and off right from the front panel. And then you have your standby LED. When this guy's in standby, it's going to be amber. And when it's in normal operation, you should have a green light there. Line in over here. Single source audio input. You can share that out of here into other amplifiers if you want to, using the line output. So you can take this guy and extend these guys out as many as you want. So you've got a source plugged into an amplifier. You just take that guy, plug that amp out of that input into this input if you want to expand. And if you're going to just use this guy with a source just plugs right in there. You got a gain control on the back, so you can set a max volume so that all of your keypads, you get somebody leaning on that volume control, go 10 steps past wow, you're going to be able to limit that a little bit. You got a little governor right here, right on the amplifier. So they can go ahead and turn those keypads up all they want. Turn up volume on the system all they want. It'll never surpass what you've set on this volume right here. That's your master volume level. You got an output switch here for bridged when you're going to be running the subwoofer with it, for example, and a 8 ohm and a 4 ohm switch position as well. The default setting will always be at 8 ohms. We recommend 8 ohm. But if you're going to do 4 ohm, don't worry. The reason I mentioned that button on the front panel that you can turn the power on and off from the front panel was for a reason. Because there's 3 different ways to turn this guy on. You can do always on, or auto sensing on, so that when you see a signal on that line input right there, it turns it on. Or you can activate it by a 12-volt trigger. If you happen to be running a trigger right here, you turn on the device in front of it, and boom, it'll turn this guy on for you. So the default setting is on. You have 12-volt trigger right here. Turns on to trigger mode whenever a signal is sensed. But you got to have it on that always on position in order to be able to activate this. Your speaker out, these are removable, just like the color-coded ones on the other amplifiers, only they're black, and screw-down connectors. You can, not screw-down, excuse me. These guys are clip connectors. You got a little screw on the top, pops it right down on there with a clip. So it's not just a screw. But give you an idea what you could do, this little A2100, why it happens to be one of my favorites, is because if you were to take a streamer I highly recommend the MBX Pre in this situation. And you just add it to, connect it up to a little A2100. Both of these are like half rack size. Doesn't look like much. Not really packed in the back. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot you can do here, but let's have a look at what we can do. You can build all of this just using an MBX Pre and an A2100. Think about that. You could do this in every room in the house if you want. Have independent systems for each person in each room if you want to. Then you can always try to drown each other out. Sounds like fun to me. Our next series of amps are the P series. These are 2-channel dual source amplifiers. You can have a source A and a source B. The P75, 60 watt by 2 at 8 ohms, 75 by 2 at 4, and 160 when you bridge it to mono. And then you got a big guy coming right behind it, the P125, same, just bigger and badder, 80 watts by 2 at 8, 125 by 2 at 4 ohms, 250 when it's bridged. Plenty of power there. One thing to keep in mind about these guys that I hear about once in a while from my friends in the field, these things, the top gets really hot. Yeah, they go, Jesus, call me, well, this thing's awful hot. I go, good, it's working. Don't worry about that. There's even a little yellow label on here. When you take it out of the box, it says contents may be hot when it's run nice and loud. If you're going to be using dual sources with this one, what you want to do is you want to connect your main source, the one you listen to like all day long, if you got background music, that guy's going to go into your secondary, and that will play all the time. Then if you want to take a local source and plug it into here, when you turn that guy on and sense the signal here, it'll override this one. And then when you shut this one off, this one will automatically come back on and just continue playing all the time. So you think your primary source goes in the primary line, but you're wrong. It goes in the secondary. Years ago, I got caught on that one. So whenever line 1 becomes active, that signal will take priority over the audio signal on line 2. Once again, these guys can be turned on manually or automatically by setting the switch on the back panel. Manual power on and off, automatic power on and off, auto on and off, signal sensing on and off. You got it all right there. When you can bridge these guys, negative lead goes to the positive terminal on the speaker. Positive lead goes to the left positive. Eight ohm is recommended, but you can see what they do for you right here. Is they're going to show you in bridge mode right here that you're going to use this guy and this guy, the positive and the negative of A, and then the positive of A, the negative of, and the positive of B, excuse me. Both positives of A and B. That's how you set this guy up. And then you have a master level, this time for left and right channel. And like the A2100, you only had it for that one for both channels. So this one you have left and right gain control. So in these events where your speaker's kind of weird position, so one is closer to the listener, one's far away, you can balance off those channels so that you got nice equal output throughout the room. And then the balance control is on the front panel of this guy. Moving on from there, we got the TVA 2.1. This is a TV amplifier. This guy is awesome. A lot of fun, man. This one here You can take any flat panel TV, which I know, everybody knows, sound like crap. No question about it. That's why sound bars got so popular. I don't care how much you spend on your TV, you turn it up, you want to rip your ears out. But this guy right here is another way of approaching that. Say you got a nice little system set up at home already. You got a subwoofer, you got a couple of bookshelf speakers or whatever. You can take this amp, nail it right on the back of your TV, connect a couple of speakers, connect the subwoofer. You got it. TVA 2.1. This guy, inexpensive option for upgrading that sound on that TV. One of these should be sold with every single flat panel TV that goes out. Matter of fact, in the branches, they should be displayed with the flat panel TVs with a little sign. So you want to make it sound decent. And plus, there's no margin in flat panel TV. So when you add one of these guys to it, you're beefing that margin up like crazy. You get 40 or 50 points at this guy at a low price. So it's all about money, isn't it, guys and girls? Ladies and gentlemen. 24-bit digital input on these guys. 30 watts per channel. Pure digital power. A very robust 30 watts per side. This guy plays way loud. And you can also do an IR receiver on these guys so that you can use it a remote with it. TVA 2.1, very popular. It's also got an integrated subwoofer output. Nice pair of satellites, nice subwoofer, you're good to go. Now the beef of the line right here, this is the beef. The D series amplifiers, these guys are the very best, the best of the best. D series power amplifiers, these guys are the muscle, again, behind every system out there. And this is really, truly the way to do it. Seamless integration, bulletproof reliability, and astonishing fidelity. And I'd stand behind every one of those. I've been a big fan of D-Series for years and years. You can beat the living you-know-what out of these, and they just don't care. Thermal protection would take care of anything that if you get a little crazy. But this is what the back of every one of these looks like. This is D50, obviously, because it's got a 4-zone amplifier here. If there was a 1650, that right there would say zone number 8. So you got a bus in and output right here so that you can either activate this line input right here, the bus in, or the line input if you're going to use a source directly connected to here. You would put it to line. If you're going to have a signal in here that crosses all 4 of those guys, you put it to bus, and that signal right there will cross. Class D amplifiers, you got zone trigger in and out just for this zone right here. You have a global trigger for this right here. So that trigger will turn on all the way across. This trigger will turn on just this section. You're either or on these. You're not picking both. You have gain controls, left and right on this guy as well. It's bridgeable. You can put it into bridge mode right here. You can have zone specific delay settings. And that's for auto on and off. Speaker outputs 50 watts per channel at 8 ohms, 80 watts per channel at 4 ohms. Don't worry about 4 ohms. Go ahead and parallel 2 pair 8 ohm if you want. It'll do that all day. Now off 850, you're going to drive 16 speakers instead of 8. 16 pair. Excuse me. 8 pair instead of 4. I was thinking of the 1650. And I mentioned that's my favorite. Rack mountable. You got these rack ears right here, all included. So that's what we're going to be looking at right here. Thermal protection. Designed to safeguard your amp under a thermal overload. protection mode can only engage when you're running high volumes for extended period of time without ventilation. That's going to heat the heck out of it. Before it burns up, it'll shut down. If speaker impedances are below minimum levels, below 4 ohm, it'll shut it down before it'll burn it up. And these guys, when you have a short, for example, in a speaker that's running back to the amplifier, shutting it down, whether you got heat shutting it down, they auto-correct themselves when you just turn the amplifier off, fix the short, turn it back on, it's there. Or in a heat condition, turn it off, let it cool down, get some air to it, turn it back on, make sure you keep that air going to it. Because what we're looking for is clean AC signal. That's what the sine wave looks like right there. Just beautiful, nice, even curves, nice, smooth fidelity. And then when you get to that one point where you push that power supply beyond its limits, it begins to produce DC instead of AC and starts chopping those nice, smooth tops off of there, which is noise, distortion. That's what it looks like. And that's what you're hearing. So when you start hearing that breaking, that little sound just is not good anymore. Seems to be deteriorating. You might want to turn it down. A bad speaker. You know, if you got a bad speaker, shorts out or something, that can shoot a short back to the amplifier, up the speaker wire. Next thing you know, your amp goes poof, shuts right down. All you got to do, though, you're going to see that zone LED flashing red and blue like crazy, telling you there's a problem. There's a problem. It's a short, red and blue. Remove that short, turn it back on, you're good to go. No damage to the amplifier. The 850, 8 channels of 4 independent zones, 50 watts by 2 at 8 ohms, 80 watt by 2 at 4 ohms, 160 watts bridged. That's each one of these guys. You can bridge each one at 160 just by summing the left and right into one. Very high efficiency, cool running Class D amplifiers. These guys run much cooler than your conventional analog amplifiers. So even though they're big and bad, they produce a lot of heat. They're going to stand a lot more than your conventional amplifier because they're running cool. But adequate ventilation is still required. You really got to vent these guys for best performance. Any system, really. The 1650 is 16 channels. You got 8 zones across this guy. It's a D850 times 2. What a beast this guy is. Same thing, 50 watt channel at 8, 80 by 4, 80 watts channel at 4, 160 bridged. And again, digital amplifiers. It's just that 850 doubled up. I could run 8 different sources into here, each one running independently, or I can run a single source in here, set all these guys to bus input and drive that signal across all 8 of these guys, each with pairs of speakers running off of it. Common features: standby power. Lights red when any zone is active. Blue LED just tells you that the zone is on. The LED just shuts off when it's in standby. If it's blinking red and blue, it indicates a short. Power down that amp, verify all those connections. You got to make sure no strands are touching at all. Keep those connections clean. As soon as you as soon as you correct that wiring, just turn the amp back on. Don't worry about that. Your line input, same. You have input for each zone. Line and bus switch. Again, you got to set these. If you're going to have source plugged into here, you set it to line. If you're gonna have a source plugged into here to go across all of them, you set it to bus. Set each one of these to bus. So right here, we're just going to show example of what you can do with 4 different zones. You can have 4 separate independent streaming zones at 50 watts a channel each. That's where you'd set all those switches to line, because each one of these sources, you got a line input on each one. Now, each of these zones can stream whatever they want to that zone. So you have 4 independent streamers going out to 4 zones. Or you can use that bus input and output. You know, that could be when you plug into here, as I mentioned, you don't have to have all these guys sources plugged in across here. You just set that to bus, and then you got a single source playing across all of these zones. So if you're going to do bus, this is what it looks like right here. All you do is remove all of these other streamers, all right? Move that input over to here and set these guys to bus. Now that audio signal goes across all those zones. You got speaker outputs right here, left, right. Again, don't worry about if you want to parallel a second pair off of each one of these, don't worry about it. It'll drive at 4 ohms, no problem. You got gain controls left and right across the back of these guys, so you can independently control these volumes. And then you got a bus trigger in and out, so that whatever device you turn on triggers into here and turns this guy on. And then your signal sensing picks up your source, runs it across all those zones. And it disables all the other zone triggers. So when you're using this zone trigger right here, each independent zone trigger is not active. And when the 12-volt trigger is used, all of these bus-controlled zone LEDs will be blue and active. Zone trigger out is used to activate a specific zone. The zone trigger out can be used to trigger other 12-volt devices. So if you're going to use these independently with a source in each one, then you would use these triggers right here. So if you're going to use bus, you use those triggers. When a zone trigger is active again, it's blue on the front. Signal sensing input. This feature allows the amp to turn on automatically when a signal is sensed. So these signal sensing input right here, as soon as you turn on your source, it's automatically going to turn that zone on for you. Signal sensing inputs, just like trigger. So if the amp you're using above it, in front of it, doesn't have 12-volt trigger out, you just use the source. Then that will trigger this guy. In bridge mode operation, only the left channel is used, okay? So what you're going to do in this case is going to use the left positive and the right negative, and then the left positive and then right negative. And each one of these, you're driving 160 watts into that speaker right there. And 160 into that one. Now the speakers across the board here, we have a nice lineup of speakers. I'm just going to run through these guys for you. Absolutely far and away the best sounding speakers we've ever built. IC series speakers. These guys are just beautifully designed. We're going to talk about all these little features here a little more, but the two that jump out at you is right here. You'll notice that this has a grip pattern on it because this is called Easy Grip tweeter bridge. We want you to go ahead and grab this thing, grab it right by the tweeter bridge and hold it up in the hole that way. It's better than trying to hold on to the edges. And your conventional tweeter bridge has tinsel wires, all kinds of stuff hanging on there. When you grab it by that tweeter bridge, you got to be afraid to, careful that you don't bust the tinsel wires coming to the tweeter. Everything is encased here. We encourage you, go ahead, grab it. That's what it's designed for. So you hold that guy up there with one hand, and then you press 3 blue buttons. Swift lock. Bang, bang, bang. It's in. Toolless. No screw gun required. That screw right there is just to take it out. Turn that a half turn counterclockwise. Go pop that guy off for you. So we have a beautiful lineup of speakers here. Not too much. Just enough. And we just introduced these new in-walls. They quickly have become my favorite in-walls. IW620. The ceiling models, they update all current models. And we have now added an in-wall model. We have added. And it's logical steps between models. The 610 series down here, good. Background music, low price point. The 620s, these guys are better. 20 series, primary listening areas, everyday use, and Swift lock. And then the best, the IC630, premium listening. When the music really matters the most. You even have a plus or minus 3 dB adjustment for treble here. So if it's a little dull, you can brighten it up. If it's a little bright, you can knock it down a little bit. Nice control at the speaker. And the finest sounding speaker Russ Sound has ever offered. These are engineered for great sound, not for cheap price. Our very best ever. 50 years of experience came together on this one. Bring you our best sounding speakers ever. This was a major effort from everyone in the administration. A lot of thought, a lot of care, a lot of money, a lot of research, a lot of back to the drawing board until we were happy. Then we figured out what can we sell it for. One cool thing is you'll notice, look all the way around this. You got nice magnets all the way around this. These are those nice little heavy duty gripper magnets for the magnetic grill. Swift lock. This is really good stuff. You guys got to try this. This is something that you can install easily for these speakers to every one that you're trying to screw in there, one screw at a time. Plus, we have a belief here at Russ Sound: 3 dogs are faster than 4. You don't need 4 if you got 3 good ones, properly positioned. So you only got 3 dog ears on these guys, and they're all push button. No screw gun required. Just grab that easy grip pin cushion, easy grip design on that tweeter bridge. Stuff it up in that hole. 3 buttons. You're in. Everyone that sees these at the show starts using them right away. There's that pin cushion easy grip right there. Go ahead, grab that tweeter bridge. That's what we made it for. Everything is protected from damage and designed for one-handed installation. It's just a great tool built right on the speaker. These speakers are designed for ultimate in sound quality. I like the idea that we're using 1-inch voice coils instead of the little 3/4 or 1/2 inch, because the larger the voice coil, the more power it can handle, staying crystal clear. And we use full 1-inch voice coils on all of these guys with ferrofluid motors to keep them cool. You got to provide good damping on these tweeter domes, or else they're going to get hot. So ferrofluid cool across the board with a 1-inch voice coil. And then that Optimum faceplate design for the tweeter itself, where it sits right in that easy grip design. Low frequencies, you got an integrated woofer and basket and frame with this guy. These guys, it's a single piece, it's not two pieces. So the woofer basket and the frame are all one solid piece for rigidity. It's amazing if you look at these under the conditions, magnification type, that when music is playing, everything inside the speaker is trying to flex, vibrate. You can't see a lot of it with the naked eye, but it's happening. It causes distortion, but single piece, we eliminated that. Inverted surround, these surrounds right here, usually they stick out. Inverted will give you much better control over woofer excursion, better linearity in and out. Once again, reduces vibrating, reduces distortion. Plus, I like the fact that it gets the thing out of your way. Many surrounds get damaged during installation. Fortunately, with ours, you don't use a screw gun. That's what usually happens. Screw gun slips off there, pokes right in through that surround. There's a lot of speakers out there with a hole in them that no one knows about. Plus injection molded woofers. These guys, nice stiffness, weight ratio, great damping, great mid-range with these guys as well as low end. Simply the best. Plus you can get speaker grills for all of these. If you were going to take a round speaker, for example, and put it in the wall, how about a square grill? Square grills look much nicer in the walls. I would put all of my speakers in the walls, but that's just my personal opinion, not being a real fan of ceiling speakers. For their intended purpose, for background, they're awesome. For primary listening, makes you want to lay down on the floor and look up at the speakers so that you're facing them head on. Speakers sound generally comes from your front stage, not above your head. We made these real easy to recognize boxes on the shelves. Beautiful color-coded boxes. All the information you need that you would normally find on a sheet inside the box is all printed right on the outside, so you know exactly what you're buying. So easily identifiable. 610 is green, 620 is blue, and the 630s are the rust color. I'm going to move on to our Outbacks now. Indoor-outdoor surface-mount speakers. There's a 5-inch two-way, 5 1/4 two-way, 6-inch two-way, 5 1/2 inch. 6-point single-point stereo, 6-inch. The world-famous Outbacks. These guys in just literally thousands of locations out there. Until I moved down to Florida here, up in New Hampshire, I had a set of these in my backyard for 10 years. Bulletproof. Cabinets really made nicely too, no fading. Plus they got a beautiful design to them. The knobs on the end, those industrial knobs, are hidden by these little end caps right here. Unique feature is this bracket. It's got a bend on the corner right here. You know what that means? You can corner mount these guys. Try doing that with a square bracket. These can sit right in the corner any way you want. You can even get shelf top mounts, shelf legs for these guys. A little set of feet, clip right on where the knob goes, and aesthetics are nice enough that you can put them right on a bookshelf. The Outback rocks, everybody likes rocks. Everybody likes these. I had one of these guys right here by a fireplace out in the woods. Once again, before I moved down to Miami, when I was up in New Hampshire in the woods up there, I had this guy about probably easily a couple of 100 feet from the house out little patch of woods in the backyard where a fireplace. Had that thing sitting out there in the woods, I think about 8 years. And still plays. Put a volume control on a tree out there right next to it. My wife loved it. And once it got all dirty and got leaves on it and been sitting out there a couple of years, you couldn't tell it was a speaker anymore. It had moss growing on and all kinds of stuff. So cool stuff. 3 styles match your landscape. They're cast enclosures. And the thing about it, what's cool is that these point up. They don't point straight out, they point up where your ears are. Most of these that you see out there point straight out, and it's great for your cat, but not great for people. These 8-inch speakers, wide projection, good performance. 8-inch two-way. It's coax in each one. Now the 706, 70 V6, these guys are for either 8-ohm stereo or 70 volt. They have a tap switch right on the back if you want to use them in a regular stereo system as your outdoor speakers. Just set it straight up and down, and that'll be the proper setting. If you use them with a X-Zone 70V, for example, you're going to need to use your tap settings in a commercial type setting. So very versatile, either or, stereo or mono. And they sound pretty darn good. Custom mounting brackets make it easy. Weatherproof design, you can live your outdoors year round. And the binding posts aren't going to let go. And the rear mounted tap settings as well. So, and then I believe we're going to wrap this up with the landscape speakers today. We have some beautiful landscape speakers out there now. Again, versatile, stereo or 70 volt, 100 volt operation. They can be used with any system out there. And these aren't cheap. They are awesome. Outdoors, in order to project sound, you need great product. You just need a great speaker. Because outdoors, music has a tendency to sound very thin because, and then in other areas, it does nothing but boom. Farther away you get, all it does is boom. Closer you get, half the time you get the sizzle side. Sizzle and boom is not good. Nice, smooth, even fidelity, good power, good speakers. Makes a good system. The AW Force, quality construction. These guys are nothing but the highest quality components. Rust-proof powder coated grills made of aluminum so they will not rust. Color molded shells. And then you got a little removable cap on the back right here so that you unscrew that. And inside is your switch for either stereo or using it in a 70, 100 volt system. All your tap settings are in there as well. And then you also have adjustments. You can turn it any way you want. They go side to side, they go up and down. You can perfectly position these, hide them in the shrubs somewhere, put them near a rock or something if you can, near a bush. Keep them away from the weed whackers. 4-inch weatherproof cone with a rubber surround and a 3/4 marine grade tweeter with these guys. Go ahead, get them wet. 8 ohm or 70 volt, 100 volt. And your nice frequency response here as well. Uses a standard 1/2-inch thread with these guys, and the stake mount comes right in the box. And to add a little low end of these guys, the AW10 landscape sub. This is a beautiful subwoofer. Those that put it in, put them in every system. The customer is the one paying for it. And if you hear a system with it or without it, you're going to say you can't go without it. Beautifully built. This guy full bandpass subwoofer. Bandpass, all that means is the woofer is inside the box, plays out through a port. You don't see the woof. It's enclosed in that guy right there. And it's a 10-inch woof. Polypropylene, rubber surround, so nothing's going to happen to it. Again, mono or stereo operation, 30 to 200 hertz, 90 dB efficient. For a woofer, that's awesome. This guy just goes in the ground. What you want to do is you want to dig a nice hole, approximately about 18 inches deep usually, by 30 inches. And then you put a couple of inches of pea gravel in the bottom. You don't want that guy sitting right in the mud. Set it on some pea gravel right here, pea stone, rocks, whatever you want to set it on. Position it so that the vent sticks up about 6 to 8 inches above the ground right here. And you can hide these anywhere. Again, I'd keep them away from weed whackers. Each one of these woofs will cover about 2,000 square feet. So in a very large system, you'd install one about every 50 feet. And that would cover you. Siren City, Miami. I want to thank you for joining us today. If you want to listen to any of these webinars we've been doing, all of them are recorded in our webinar library. You can find all of these, russound.com/DLR training. Every webinar we've done, I got about 40, 50 of them. I don't know what I got in there now. But they're all there. So if you ever want to brush up on something, you're going to do a job, you want to brush up on the product, go pull the webinar, get familiar once again, refresh your memory. And we also have a lot of short video clips as well. How to hook things up the quick way, quick and easy. youtube.com/c/russoundfmp. And things like how to do Chromecast on your streamer, how to hook this up, how to hook that up. Nice stuff. So a nice learning library available to you from Russ Sound, free. This is who we are. This is how to find us. Feel free to contact us anytime. Any questions, we'll be more than happy to help. We've been supporting the custom installer since 1969. We have a lot of industry firsts. So with over 50 years experience, you can count on Russ Sound. Reliability, performance, fidelity, features, everything you could ask for in a product. Plus our Russ Sound Certified Integrator program. Got some 11,000 RCIs around the world. You want to become a Russ Sound Certified installer, just get a hold of folks at Russ Sound, either in tech support or in sales. They'll show you how to make it happen. I want to thank you very much for joining us today. I hope all of you have been staying safe, your families, in these crazy, crazy times out there. The worst thing you can do to a bunch of road dogs is lock them in a room. It's the worst thing you can do. We go stir crazy. Absolutely stir crazy. I was on the road for 15 years. I was home most of the time, maybe just weekends or whatever for extended times. And that's the way we were. Now we're sitting home. Get creative. Sell some Russ Sound. I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for your business. I hope you folks all have a great day. Thank you.